Hey friends, let's make a not so creepy Halloween wreath using our Double Toil and Trouble cauldron for our focal point. By the way, hang on to that bubble wrap we just took off there. I'm going to show you a cute little hack that you can use that for. So this is a wreath kit that we put together at Festive Creations by Stephanie. If this kit is no longer available, don't worry. We have plenty of kits to choose from. It comes with the 15-inch wire frame. It comes with 2 rolls of this gorgeous ombre mesh in the Halloween colors. And it comes with all 3 rolls of this ribbon, 2 2.5-inch ribbon and 1 1.5-inch ribbon. Some additional tools that I'm going to use for this particular wreath kit is going to be my mesh cutter, or if you don't have one of those cutters, you can use a pair of scissors. I'm also going to be using some pipe cleaners so that I can attach my sign to the frame itself, and I'll probably use black pipe cleaners for this. A staple gun. I love my Milwaukee, and a little bit of hot glue with my cordless glue gun. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you my version of the Double Toil and Trouble wreath kit. So to begin with, so what I like to do is I like to first of all take that jute trim off of there, and I just use my scissors. Oh, that's another tool I didn't mention. We're probably going to need some really nice scissors to work with our design today. And I'm going to turn that sign over, and we're going to attach the pipe cleaners to that sign. So what's going to happen is we're going to attach this sign to our wire frame eventually. So we need to know where we're going to put that sign so we can kind of get a good gauge of where we want to put our pipe cleaners. So if you're going to put your sign over on the right, maybe you're going to put it down, center, wherever you're going to put your sign. Sometimes it's best to measure it before, or get a good idea before you add mesh to your frame. And then right here is a good spot for a pipe cleaner. So I'm just going to hold my finger right here, and those are the places I'm going to start with the pipe cleaner. Of course, I can mark a little mark there so I don't forget. And I'm going to put one about right here and one over here. That way, when I add those pipe cleaners to the wire frame, it will line up very nicely. So I like to use my 1/4-inch staples. This is a wood sign. It is a little bit more than 1/4 inch deep. If your sign is too thin, please, please, please make sure you do a test area before you go putting a staple in there. You don't want to ruin your sign. So I will put a pipe cleaner on each one of those spots that I showed us, that we marked. And I usually do 2 staples. And I leave a little bit of a tail. And I'll show you why in just a moment. Then with my glue gun, what I like to do is go on top of these staples with just a spot of glue, just in case one of the staples fails me for whatever reason. I have a little bit of a backup plan. So that glue is kind of like a secondary secure measure. We're not putting all of our eggs in one basket and relying on those staples to do all the work for us. While the glue is still hot, I'm going to take that and fold it up and twist, twist, twist. And then this is what will be used to attach to the frame. We're going to set this sign aside while we are preparing the rest of our items for our wreath kit. There we go. Our sign is all ready, and we'll let that glue set up while we're working on the next part of it. So let's set our ribbon aside. And now we're going to work with the mesh. So this kit does come with 2 rolls of mesh, and each roll is 10 yards and at least 10.5 inches tall. The wreath frame that we're going to be using has 18 twist ties to it. So there's 18 opportunities here for us to add some mesh and some fun. The mesh is kind of like our base. That's what gives us our foundation, our base color, and it gives us our platform that we're going to work off of. So we'll just get these twist ties all spread apart. Again, there's 18 of these. There's 10 on the bottom and 8 on the top. So what I like to do, especially when there's 2 rolls of mesh that are exactly the same, I just stack them. And we're going to cut them at the same time. We will be using 32-inch strips. So my mat, my cutting mat, is 36 inches long. So I can roll these out and use my mesh cutter. Make sure we're all lined up down here, and use my mesh cutter and cut that right at 32 inches. Ta-da! So I'm going to cut 2 at a time. And quite honestly, folks, I just throw the mesh on the floor most of the time because my craft area doesn't always allow for me to have a big stack of mesh. So I just throw them on the floor. We're going to cut 9 sets. When you get done, you will have some mesh left over on your rolls, and this is where it comes in really handy. If you saved that bag from your sign, guess what? Just slide those rolls right in there together, because mesh frays, you want to have the least amount of movement with mesh. So just stick them in there, and now they're not going to get snagged on anything, and I can store them on my shelf very easily. All right, let's get started with this mesh. So I'm also going to use a little clip, but if you have a clothespin, this actually came from a little package of clips at a truck stop, believe it or not, but these can be found at the hardware store, or a clothespin will work just fine. And we're going to unroll this beautiful foil mesh. Look at how gorgeous that is. And we're going to begin by curling in the edges. This technique's called a woodland ruffle. You're going to curl that in a couple of curls, clip it, turn it around, spread that out, and curl in this end a couple of curls. Now we're going to take our fingers and we're going to walk right up the center of this by pinching it together. And there is no race. You don't have to do this in a hurry. Once I get to this end, I'm going to pinch both ends together. And now I have this beautiful little butterfly, and I have a couple of curls in it. It looks like this on one side, this on the other. You can place it into our wreath frame either way, if you want to do curl side up or curl side down. I typically do curl side up. I'm going to bring our wreath frame down here, and I'm going to push that right into our first twist tie on the outer rim, And we're going to repeat that process all the way around the outer rim. So let's get going. All right, we're getting ready to put the last one in on the outer row. And if you noticed in this quick version of it, I actually put a ruffle every other space. And then I came back and I filled in on the in-between. And by doing that, it really helps my mesh lay a lot neater and avoids it from getting all bunched up. So I'm going to do that process again on the top. I'm going to start by placing a ruffle here, skip one, a ruffle here, skip one, and then I'll come back and fill in the open ruffles when we get done. Let's get started on the top row. All right, as you can see, we are getting ready to finish our last one. This is twist tie number 18, and look at the shine and the beautiful wreath base that we have now in front of us. So let's take a look this way, and look how beautiful that is. Look how full and voluptuous, I love that word, voluptuous. That one looks amazing, and that's going to definitely draw some attention to anyone's front door. But we're going to make it prettier, and we're going to add some ribbon and our sign. Let's get started on that part. So the next step is we're going to cut some ribbon. So we can, we're going to take the 3 rolls of ribbon. This is all wired ribbon. Any ribbon you get from Festive Creations by Stephanie is going to be wired. I have 1 roll of ribbon in my shop that is not wired, and it's very clearly wired. But look at how fun this is with the witch's hat, and I love this purple shimmer glitter. How fun. And then to bring in that whimsical look of the eyeballs. Fun. Not so creepy, right? But it definitely says Halloween. So we can make ribbon tails using all 3 of these, or 1 of them, or 2 of them. You can do any combination you want. If you're not sure what a ribbon tail is, don't worry, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to use my ribbon cutting board, my ribbon tail board, and a link to where you can get one of these will be down below in the comments. And we're going to cut these at 10 inches, 10-inch length. So I'm going to place my spool on my spool holder over here. There will also be a link to this in the comments below if you want to get a 3-ribbon spool holder. And I'm just going to kind of fold that over there and start cutting. And I'm going to cut 18 of these because we have 18 twist ties, right? So I need a total of 18. So after we have those cut, I'm just going to take my scissors. I have a really nice pair of Fisker shears. I've had them for several years and they've never been sharpened. But I only use them on my ribbon. That's the only thing I use them on. Cut that in half there. Do the same on the other end. And now I have 18 pieces of ribbon. And then I will take a couple, 2 or 3 at a time, and I'm going to fold them wire to wire, edge to edge. And I'm going to do what's called dovetail. I'm just going to give it a quick little slanted cut. And it's going to give me a V-shaped cut on the end of my ribbon. Some ribbon, it's not advisable to do the dovetail, but most of my ribbon will hold up very nicely when you do the dovetail. So we're going to do that on all of this purple ribbon. So I'm going to use the witch's hat ribbon next because I want to brighten up the edges. So if we put this next to this, it looks too similar. And so adding this white in there will actually help break up the ribbon tails. So let's do the same thing for the white 2.5 inch with the witch's hats. We're going to cut 10 inches. And we're going to need a total of 18. All right, let's get our 2 ribbon and we're going to stack them together here. We're going to leave that 1.5 inch off to the side for a moment. We're just going to put the witch's hat right on top of the purple. We're going to fold that in half and find our middle point, and we're going to just pinch it together, pleat it together. Then I try to like make a little V shape, and this is now going to become our ribbon tails. So we're going to place that inside of each of the twist ties on our wreath frame. Then I'm just going to kind of spread it out a little bit, make that little V shape, and we're going to repeat that process all the way around the ribbon, the wreath frame, and all 18 twist ties. So let's get started, and I just go right around the bottom first, the outer frame, and then we're going to go back and do the top frame. All right, we have all the outer frame completed. Now let's go back and start on the top. So we're just going to repeat that process and do all 9 of them, the twist ties on the top. One of the most common questions I get is, what do you do with the twist ties once you've added your ribbon? So a lot of times people will cut them off. I will tell you, personal experience has taught me not to do that. Because if something happened where it came loose for whatever reason, or maybe I decided later on that I didn't like that ribbon or that tail in there and I wanted to change the ribbon, I have nothing to work with. So if I cut these off, if I snip them off really short and I need to make adjustments later on, I have nothing to work with. So what I do is I'll take a pen or a pencil and I will just kind of curl it close to my design. Now, obviously, if my wreath frame is coordinated with my design, that lime green is going to look fine next to our sign. So it's personal choice, whatever you want to do. I don't always do that, because if it doesn't become, it can actually be a part of your design, leaving those fun twist ties sticking out. It can become a part of your design. So either way, it's going to be a personal preference, but let's finish up and do the rest of our top so we can add our sign, and we're going to make a bow that's going to be amazing on this design. All right, let's take a look and see what this looks like with just our ribbon tails on it. Come on up here. And here is our finished design with the ribbon tails. See how that white really brightened up that ribbon with the witches' hats on it? Really helped brighten that up. Now let's go ahead and add our sign to this and see what happens. You'll notice too that I did cut too many of the witches' hats, but don't worry, nothing goes to waste around in this craft room. Promise you. So we're going to take that wreath, and remember we had our sign kind of set off to the side. So what that will allow me to do is allow me to add and have this space to also embellish. So you can do things like add a bow, maybe add 2 bows, maybe add a bow and some embellishments like this. You can add too, you can, like I sell little plastic bats and skulls and different things. So you can add to whatever you want. Now, obviously, this is not the ribbon that comes with this kit, but it is a ribbon bundle that I make, this 3 ribbon bow, and it makes a beautiful bow And the colors actually go very nicely with this particular wreath. But we're going to work with what we have and watch it come to life. But first we're going to add our sign. So let me begin by feeding those pipe cleaners down through the mesh and attaching it to the wire frame. All right, so now I'm going to take those wires, those pipe cleaners, and wrap them around my frame. Anytime you can see a cross wire, which you probably can't see it on the video, but there's a cross wire there, I like to wrap it around the cross wire to help decrease the chances of it sliding or shifting. And again, if I can avoid cutting these, I do, because if I ever need to go back and make an adjustment, so I just wrap and wrap and wrap until it's completely wrapped around the frame. Before I tighten everything completely down, I want to make sure that my sign still is in the right spot, and I want to make sure that it's secure. So when I shake it, is it shifting? Is it moving around? Then I need to tighten it a little bit more. But we don't need to tighten it so bad, so tight that it can't breathe. It's okay if it jiggles a little, because that means that we don't have it so tight on there that it's going to be smashing down our beautiful mesh and causing our wreath to look out of proportion. So we just kind of want it gently, snugly on there. And there we have it. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to fix a couple of those ribbon tails that were up underneath the sign now and bring those back to life. I'm also going to curl up a few of these twist ties, and I'm probably only going to do the ones on the top. I don't feel like I need to do the ones on the bottom. Again, personal preference. You do what you are comfortable with, what is beauty in your eye, and don't you worry about what everybody else thinks, because I promise you there is a buyer for everything. If you're getting into just learning how to make wreaths and you want to make a little bit of extra profit, maybe help pay for the family vacation, or just have a few extra bucks in your pocket, then keep in mind that there are no rules. There's no rules when it comes to how you do this. All right, so I'm going to put the wreath off to the side on the wall behind me, and we're going to bring out our bow maker. So for this one, I'm going to use the Easy Bow Maker. I have several different bow makers that I will use, but for today, I'm going to use this one. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use this 3 ribbon spool. We're going to make a bow that is very similar to this one. Isn't that gorgeous? So we're going to start out with using our 3 spool holder. And this one, the last ribbon, will be the one that's on top. I'm going to put the witches' hats in the middle, and the top color will be the purple. So I'm going to line, oops, opposite, Stephanie. There we go. No, I just did that again. Stop. I want the top one to be a purple. Witch's hat's going to go first. Then this. No, then this. And this one. There we go. All right, so the witch's hat's going to be laid down first, followed by the purple. And then our eyeballs are going to go on top. And the reason I'm doing that too is it's smaller than the other two ribbon, but we haven't used it yet in our design. So I want to really make it shine on this one. So I'm going to measure this out. On your Easy Bow Maker, you have marks, and I'm going to measure this out to the 6-inch mark. So this is the center coming out to the 6-inch. I'm going to pinch this together. I'm going to place all 3 ribbon down in between the spool and twist my left hand as we go down. So now we have all 3 here. This is now the ugly side is showing face up. Give myself a little more ribbon. I'm going to come out here to the 6-inch mark and fold it. Now where my pegs are, I'm going to pinch it again. As I'm pushing down, I'm going to take the opposite hand and twist. Ugly side up. We're going to repeat this. 6-inch. Down, and as we go down, twist. We're going to do 2 on the bottom. Two loops at 6 inches on each side. Don't forget to twist as you're going down to have the ugly side up. Now I'm going to come into about the 5-inch mark, and I'm going to do the same thing. Pinch, twist, 5-inch mark over here, pinch and twist. Five-inch again, pinch and twist. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and go into the 4-inch mark. 4-inch, pinch and twist. Except this time we really aren't twisting. The last one, we're going to leave it pretty side up. And we're going to come out here and cut that about 5 inches, somewhere around in there. So for this, you can actually use some floral wire, or you can use a zip tie and a pipe cleaner, or a zip tie and some floral wire. For this type of bow, I like to use the zip ties because it gives me a really tight hold. And I'll show you more in just a moment. So I'm going to take that zip tie and I'm going to slide it right here underneath my ribbon on the right side of my bow. Bring it up. And I'm going to keep it as close to the pegs as possible here. Just barely tight enough so it's holding all the ribbon together. Now I can lift that up and I can remove it without all of my ribbon falling apart. I'm going to go ahead and just go and pull out about 20 inches of my floral wire. Again, if you prefer to use pipe cleaners, that's great. I use a 22 gauge paddle wire. When I lift up, I'm holding all these together, and then I can tighten that zip tie a little bit more. But before I tighten it all the way down, I'm going to slide in that wire. I'm also going to make sure that my ribbon stays stacked and together. And there we go. Now we can cut off that zip tie. And voila, we have our 3 ribbon bow. And now I'm going to start spreading it apart. So with that zip tie, I can pull and yank on this ribbon and start spreading apart the loops. And as I do, I twist the loop. I twist it so it gets really unjammed from down here in the center. So it kind of can get clogged up down there. And then I go the opposite. So you have white, white, purple, Purple's going over here, and now eyeballs are going here. I'm going to do that all the way up. And just unleash them all. Don't worry about how it looks yet. We're going to come back and do some final fluffing. First thing is get it all spread out. If you use that zip tie, when you go to do this twist and pull on here, it's going to stay together for you, I promise. Voila. Even that without any final touches looks like a beautiful bow, doesn't it? I'm going to take these tails, ribbon tails in our bow, and I'm going to dovetail those. I don't need these to be super long on this side. These were the last ones we did, but the ones on the bottom, they're going to show, stick out a little bit more. So I want them to stay long. Even some, you know, when it's time for Halloween, some of the local stores always have some unique things that we as wreath makers, suppliers may not be able to have access to because they sell to a different market. So I always look all year round, and especially at end of season, I'll go stock up on some unique things like those fun bats that I were talking about earlier, or anything like that. Witches hats, right? Look at that. Look at how pretty. So we're just going to come right in here and we're going to add this bow right into our mesh. So I'm going to take those floral wires and I'm going to feed those down in there around that ribbon. We're going to move that ribbon out of our way, but feed it down into the mesh. And again, when you when you go to secure your bow, you want to avoid pulling the bow wires so tight that it sucks the bow down into the mesh. You want it just kind of gracefully floating on top of your frame or on top of your mesh base. And then once I have it secured on this side, I go ahead and cut my wires. And then I'll take those wires and I'll actually fold them back into the mesh so that no one accidentally gets their fingernail, get a wire up their fingernail or something like that, trying to carry it. Fun, fun, fun. So it's always good to have a rule of three, like a triangle. So the visual field should appears more appealing when you have three. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like a triangle. Triangle this way, triangle that way. So because of that, and because we have this beautiful eyeball ribbon, we're going to add one more bow right in here and put it right on top of this. So we don't necessarily have to have a bow maker for that, but we can actually just add some of that ribbon right here. We're just going to pinch. And twist. There we go. And we're just going to do a small bow right in here. And it can be fun and whimsical. Ooh, yeah, I like it. And we're just going to put that right down in here. Give it a little fluff. We're going to shorten that tail a little bit. Shorten this one a little. And just a fun, whimsical bow with eyeballs glaring at you. I love this. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. You may or may not have leftover ribbon, and I will tell you that when you get a wreath kit from Festive Creations by Stephanie, you get the entire roll of ribbon, because I understand that not everybody has the same design. They use a different amount of ribbon in their design, or maybe you want to make a bow totally different than what I did. So that's why I give you the whole roll of ribbon, all 10 yards in your wreath kits. Friends, thanks for hanging out with me. I love how this turned out. It's going to look great on the door for the Halloween season. Thanks, and don't forget to follow and like, comment. Love to hear from you, and I'll see you soon.